Pastor Jay? Excellent. Calling to order the regular meeting of the El Segundo City Council, Tuesday, October 20th. Our invocation will be given by Pastor Eric J. from St. John's Lutheran Church, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Atkinson. Please rise.
Madam Mayor, Council, privileged to be with you all tonight. Let's pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, I give you thanks and I give you praise for the gift of government and for the gift of those sitting here that you have called to lead, to serve the members of this community. Father, it's a wonder at all if we stop and think that we have the ability to call you, the Alpha and the Omega, our Father, that by the blood of Christ we have free access to you, that at any given point in time, no matter where we are or what we're going through as a city, as a neighbor, as a community of people, you are always there and you always have been. Father, I pray your blessing on this meeting tonight, on this council. All the decisions that they make, may they be made through your wisdom, Lord, and through your will for this town that we hold so dear. Father, I'm reminded of Jesus' words when he said, "Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's." May we always keep that distinction, Lord. I pray that the love of power would be replaced with the power of love, that the folly of wisdom would always be usurped by the wisdom of your word, that the authority given to all who lead, myself and others included, would always be exercised as a servant first. And Father, we pray that the justice that we seek to have in our society and community would always be led by the injustice of your Son on the cross, who died for all of our sins as the servant of all. Father, we entrust ourselves to you and our time to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Place your hand over your heart and join in for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
So this evening is an exciting night. We're going to have a presentation from the LAEDC about El Segundo being a finalist for the most business-friendly city in Los Angeles.
So, Mayor and members of council, the city has been named a finalist. We will find out on November 12th whether we win that award. And as part of the presentation, each city is asked to prepare a 30-second video about what's going on and why that city deserves that award. So we're going to attempt to show that video. It is fairly fast because you have 30 seconds.
Black right now.
Well, you have to love technology. I'm prepared to stop when the light comes on. Well, good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Carrie Rogers with the LAEDC. It's my pleasure to be here this evening, to be in front of you, to honor the city of El Segundo for being selected as one of our small city finalists for cities with 67,000 or fewer residents, and to recognize your leadership, your commitment to business friendliness, your excellent programs, job and business creation, and of course, our partnership. The LADC is a private nonprofit public benefit corporation, and we were created 34 years ago by the LA County Board of Supervisors with one mission in mind, and that was to attract, retain, and create businesses and jobs in LA County. And the LAEDC created the Most Business-Friendly City Award in 2006, after our president and CEO had been traveling around the world and heard from other states and other site selectors that LA is not a friendly place to do business. Little did they know that LA is really made up of 88 cities, covering 4,000 square miles. As California's only business-friendly...
In a town that helped put a man on the moon for over 100 years. No other city can match the creative, cutting-edge technology and manufacturing of El Segundo. El Segundo is first in business and innovation in Southern California, home to the most Fortune 500 companies in California other than San Francisco, a home for world explorers and world champions. The city that invented GPS knows where it's going. The city boasts more than $1 billion in active and planned development. The new creative office spaces and campuses coming out of the ground are smart, state-of-the-art, architectural works of art. El Segundo is poised for a new generation of energy and invention. A launch pad for the next generation of innovators and entrepreneurs. Business thrives here. It always has, it always will. El Segundo is where big ideas take off. Anything is possible.
Well, that was pretty awesome. I'm so glad you guys were able to run that. It's a beautiful, beautiful video. And of course, shares why we're honoring your city. So let me continue. This is California's only business-friendly award. So you should be very proud of yourself that you're selected as one of those cities that has economic development as a top priority, that you're committed to high-quality services at reasonable rates, and that you deliver services beyond expectations. The Most Business-Friendly City Award challenges cities to create an environment that is conducive for business retention and expansion in all industry sectors, and attract and retain good quality jobs, and to encourage new business investment. As you know, El Segundo was our inaugural winner of the Most Business-Friendly City Award in 2006, and you've been nominated as being the cream of the crop, one of the finalists in 2012, 13, and 14. The Eddie Awards, where we'll be presenting the most business-friendly small and large cities, is one of the most prestigious awards in California, and it's attended by more than 600 leaders of LA County to recognize exceptional economic development in business and government. This year, in addition to our most business-friendly city, we are honoring Evan Spiegel, Snapchat CEO, CBRE, and Cal State Northridge. El Segundo is in good company this year with the other small city finalists that include Azusa, Commerce, Pico Rivera, and Vernon. This year's large city finalists include Bellflower, Carson, Lakewood, Palmdale, Pasadena, and Santa Clarita. We all hear how hard it is to do business in California, but El Segundo is proving to be very competitive, as you just witnessed on the video and everyone at home. Recognizing that time is money, the goal of a one-day turnaround for business licenses, expediting permits, and after-hour approvals is significant. Comments from this year's Blue Ribbon panel of judges include the city's lower cost of doing business, the annual Economic Development Strategic Plan, the Business Resource Guide, where you have testimonials from startups to Fortune 500 companies, the 24/7 online project status tracking program, over-the-counter approvals, fee-based accelerated reviews, the Cable's TV show where you talk about business matters, and on and on. On behalf of the LAEDC, I would like to present the mayor and the city council with the LAEDC commemorative plaque honoring this accomplishment. And it says, if I could read it, 2015 Most Business-Friendly City in LA County Award finalist El Segundo, in recognition of your continuous efforts attracting, retaining, and growing businesses and jobs for the LA County region. We salute your leadership and demonstrated commitment to economic development as a top priority. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. We're looking forward to bringing that Eddie home to El Segundo in a couple weeks. Let's all go down. Our next presentation will be given by Director Scott Houston with West Basin. Pardon?
All right. Well, good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. And I do want to ask, do we have the audiovisual working or not? No. I can walk through it. It's not a big deal. But I just wanted to double check because we had a great slideshow for you all, and it's unfortunate the folks at home won't get to see it, but you can probably put it up on your website. But I think you all have a copy at your desk. And so a picture's worth 1,000 words, and for the council members, I think it'll be good as we walk through it. So first of all, again, I'm Director Scott Houston from the West Bay Municipal Water District Board. I represent you on our board, and I am a local resident of El Segundo. And I'm very happy to be here tonight to just give you a briefing on the status of our ocean water desalination environmental impact report. So if you go through this presentation, you'll see, of course, then there's some photos of the board, the 5 of us, the 5 directors from the different parts of the district, as well as our service area, which extends from Carson and Inglewood out to the ocean, the beach cities down the Palos Verdes, and going up north toward Malibu and Topanga, which is also part of my district. And what we're looking at, there's a pie chart in this presentation for you that has our water portfolio. And of course, we're reliant upon imported water from the Colorado River and the Delta for part of our water supply, as well as our recycled water plant right here in El Segundo, and various groundwater in the region, as well as our conservation efforts to bring down our water use. But one last leg of this journey that we're at least exploring is ocean water desalination, to look at making that a part of our water portfolio. So on the chart, we're looking at potentially by the year 2023, if things were to go through this process and it was approved in the long run, by that year we would potentially have ocean water, desalinated ocean water in our portfolio. Certainly we're an expert in local water supply at West Basin and delivery. We have recycled over 165 billion gallons of water in your community since 1995. Our plant is now 20 years old this year. I know you're all aware of this, but it's such a great thing that we can't emphasize enough, not only to you, but to the folks at home and the folks across our district. And we also have a very great and strong reputation across the state and worldwide for the work we do at this plant. We're, of course, very proud that the plant's located in El Segundo. And on that presentation, there was a nice photo of our operation. I do want to let you all know that we recently did conduct polling at West Basin to get a firm understanding of where our residents are at when it comes to water supply and issues across this region. And so I believe the last poll had not been done in 5 years. So we have new data, new information, and I've provided that in the presentation for you. But one of the most compelling things that we have and understand is water and the drought is the #1 issue, not only across the state, but locally in our service area. So, you know, we have an overwhelming 87% of folks say that that is the most important issue to them, even over, the economy, people living in poverty, traffic congestion, climate change. But the #1 issue that we found in this service area is the drought. And the second question that's noted in our presentation is, are people just going to think that once El Nino potentially comes, that it's all over, we don't need to worry about it? And the answer in our district is no. People realize that even should we have a great wet winter, that the drought is still a major issue in this service area. And that's a great message for us to know that we have been getting the word out to people, and they understand that the El Nino that may come is not a silver bullet to solve our drought issues. One of the other things that's noted in this poll that we provided to you was a question about different options for looking at dealing with the drought. And, the #1 issue was looking at stormwater capture and using that for industrial and landscape use. Another, in a strong second place, if you will, is looking at treating and purifying sewer water for outdoor irrigation and industrial purposes, which is exactly what we do at West Basin. So we're already in that place. And then we have a number of other options including ocean water desalination, that scored very highly at approximately 74%. So, folks who vote in this district and understand the issues that we're educating them upon very much get what West Basin is trying to accomplish with all of its options when it comes to drought management and water management in this district. We are a leader in desal research in this district. So there was a pilot plant here in El Segundo from the year 2002 to 2010. And then we have our demonstration plant down in Redondo Beach that was next to the Sea Lab there from 2010 to 2014. We're actually decommissioning that plant as we speak because we've done all of our research work down there. And then we've been looking at the environmental impacts and planning more recently since 2012. Again, our focus is to minimize the environmental impact, reduce energy consumption, and reduce our costs. You'll see in your handout there's 2 locations in our environmental impact report as we go through this process. One location is here in El Segundo at NRG, and the other one is in Redondo Beach at the AES power plant. There's a larger map in here from a satellite view of the location off of Vista Del Mar where we would potentially locate a plant here in El Segundo. And you also see on the left side is a pipeline. That's the inbound intake line that has a wedge wire screen on it. You'll see in the photo on the left. And on the right is a sample diffuser. So you'd have an outfall line going out into the ocean with diffusers on it for the brine to be dispersed back into the ocean. And again, too bad we don't have our slideshow, but I'm going to try and explain this to you guys because it's even hard for me to read to a degree. But on our EIR schedule, so what we have started and what just happened late last month and coming into today is the notice of preparation, which just basically says we're going to conduct an EIR. And this is going to take about 18 months in total. So we put together a number of community briefings late last month where we outreach to community members, we outreach to the environmental community, we outreach to civic leaders, etc. We extended our comment period. Instead of the 30 days that's required, we did 45 days. So we've gone above and beyond to make sure we're getting a lot of input up front. And again, that was just a notice of preparation and saying we're taking the opening comments. That time has now been closed, and now we're preparing the studies. And then in the spring, there will be comments when the report comes out that cities and organizations and others can provide to us that will be addressed. So basically, by November of 2016 is when we expect to have our findings complete, and we can look at potentially taking some kind of action. And then underneath that is a long-range desalination facility schedule should we go forward, and that would show that we would potentially have a plant in operation by the year 2023. So it's a long-term process, not only the EIR, but also the fact if we were to even do such a thing, the construction and planning and so on, as you all know. What I do want to emphasize as I get ready to move forward, though, is the fact that the board has looked at this where we've authorized the EIR to go forward because we know it's a long process. And whether we were to decide to embark on building a desalination plant or not in this district, we at least have to get the process started, because every time, the longer we wait, the longer we're behind. So that's our number one concern. And then number two, I just have to emphasize that no decision's been made at the board level, of course. We're still going to be learning a lot about the cost and other issues. But as you go into the next slide, it says responsible desal, the 4 E's, and this is what the board and staff is very focused on: environmental impact, energy efficiency, economics, and education. So we're working very diligently to address all 4 of those E's as we go forward. Make sure we minimize any environmental impact. We're completely looking at all energy efficiency alternatives, of course. Economically, it has to make sense. It has to make sense for us as a district. It has to make sense for our customers. And education. We do a tremendous job of education outreach in this district, but of course, it's a constant process, as you know. A couple more slides here. Responsible desal includes economics. And if you'll see here, in 1947, West Basin was formed, and they did potentially look at desalinated water at that time. But at that time, it was 30 times more expensive than buying imported water. So obviously that was a no-go, non-starter. But as you see, as we approach today, 2015, ocean water desalination versus imported costs only 1.8 times more expensive. And we predict by the year 2020 about 1.5 times more expensive. I have another chart in here right after that about economics, and what I want you guys to notice is that on the very left, we're looking at two sized options in this EIR, a 20 million gallon a day plant and a 60 million gallon a day plant. So of course there's economies of scale. So if you look at the 20 million gallon a day operation, our cost per unit is approximately $1,800 an acre foot. A 60 million gallon a day is about $1,550 an acre foot. But if you'll notice in between, our average cost of recycled water for us to produce water at the El Segundo facility, the 5 different types, is about $1,726 an acre foot. So that actually falls right in between the 2 potential options we're looking at with desalination. But I also really want you to look at the column on the right, which is the price of imported water from the Metropolitan Water District. It's already over $1,000 an acre foot, and that's today. And as we know, with cost increases and reduction of water availability from both Colorado River and the Delta, which are our 2 sources from Met, we can only anticipate that those costs will continue to go up. So, the costs are coming into line. It's something that we all have to take into consideration. Certainly those of us on the board are looking at as we embark in this process. The last slide on here just notes that we have a great website specifically designed to educate folks about the work of desalination at West Basin. It's called westbasindesal.org, westbasindesal.org. So you can go to our main page, westbasin.org, and it has a link to this page, but you can also go to this page. It's well set up to show very specific questions and answers and an understanding of ocean water desal in this district if we go forward. Before I take questions, I also want to note that this Saturday is our water harvest at the plant here in El Segundo from 10 to 2. This is our big open house annually that we have rides, games, booths, lots of fun for kids and families. The plant's open for tours. I highly encourage everyone from our service area, and even those who don't live here are very welcome to come and attend and learn about water and the work we do at West Basin. So with that, I want to thank you for your time. I do have 2 members of our staff from West Basin here with me. I have Fernando Paludi and also Shivaji Deshmukh, both assistant general managers at West Basin, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
I have some questions and comments. You want to? Let's see. This is drinking water?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I attended an event Sunday where the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, spoke, and he said they're at 50% now and they're looking to go to 70% for desalination for their drinking water. So a couple questions. You showed some pipelines that I know the public couldn't see. What's the distance of those out into the ocean?
I don't know offhand. About 2 miles?
2 miles?
Okay.
Okay.
About 2 miles, yeah.
And then I have some questions about the finances. What you showed proposed a desal process at NRG in El Segundo or at the beach there, and they're going to be connected to the power there?
That would be how it was designed, yes, utilizing the power there.
It's natural gas and electricity?
I believe, why don't I have one of Shivaji want to come up here? That way he can just make sure the technical issues are addressed properly. There you go.
Thank you, Director.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Good evening, City Council. Could you repeat the question, please?
So I hadn't gotten to the real question, but it's about the utility users taxes that El Segundo would gain from being from the desalination plant being connected to the natural gas and or the electricity.
Right. And being so early in the process, we haven't determined how we would power this facility. As Director Houston pointed out, desalination does require a lot of energy. One of the items or criteria our board has directed us is to look at providing 100% of the energy through green power. So we're in a very early stage in the planning stages. We can't determine how we'll get that power. However, if we were to utilize a partnership with NRG, that would be something we have to determine is how that utility tax would, if that would be on the NRG side or it would be on the purchase side of West Basin. But unfortunately, it's very early in the process, so we couldn't provide an answer for that.
I think it would be appropriate for the council to ask for a fiscal impact analysis as part of the EIR.
I would like a fiscal impact analysis as part of the EIR. Thank you.
We'd be happy
Okay.
to look into that.
Thank you.
We'll look into that for you.
I'm just curious if, and I know this is way off because we're talking 2023 before you suspect that this would be built and up and running, but I'm curious if there's a vision into the future that someday desalinization can be sold from West Basin to other regions so that we can begin to profit rather than buying from Metropolitan Water District. Is that a vision at all?
I would say, first and foremost, depending on the size of this plant, the smaller scale certainly is for our use only. Even a larger scale plant very well would probably utilize the water here. But it is a topic of discussion, especially as you look at a larger scale plant. I think maybe at the level you're looking at is something much larger, but we already serve 1 million people on the western side of the county, so it's a significant amount of water that we utilize. But we are, ocean water desalination as a part of our portfolio might only just be about 10 to 15%. Very, very similar to what's happening in San Diego with their plant. So,
But that's now with your current analysis. I mean, if the cost continues to be driven down to the point where it could be a larger portion and we could stop buying it from elsewhere.
it's an interesting thought. So I think
Talking like 50
in the
years
long
away.
term, maybe we'll get there at some point.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, I don't see the cost of water going down. So even using the numbers we have before us, desal, some people like it, some don't. Most of it is just not understanding. They should take the tour, some of us have taken, to the Delta and other places to see actually what's happened to the water supply in California and to find out how much water is being taken out that's not being returned. And everyone thinks El Nino is going to be the savior. Well, 85% of El Nino is going to run out in the ocean because we don't have facilities built to store the water, nor we have facilities similar to West Basin. It's going to take any collected water and make it drinkable. So I understand this won't please everyone, but this to me is just cut and dried. This is something we need to do. Water obviously is what keeps us all alive. And if we don't prepare, which we haven't done year after year after year, it's not going to get better because our population is growing, it's not diminishing. Our water usage is going to go up even through conservation for that same reason. There's only so much water in the world and it can't be reproduced. So I hope these numbers and everything that mayors ask for, that we can get us, so our hands around this so that we can actually show what this does, not only to the region, but to our city, since we're the one that's looking at putting it here. In this area of the beach they're talking about is on the south side of NRG and at the end of the Chevron property. It does not affect El Porto as far as where the location is. It's got to be so many feet away from those streets and those places. So as it goes forward, I think people will be a little more educated. They're going to see how important this is. I've been on this project since I was elected. I'm so happy I was, let's put it that way, to go and see what is happening, what needs to be done, to watch the aqueducts. And if we ever have a big one and those things go away, where's our water coming from, gang? There ain't any. There isn't any. So this is something that I am totally behind, and I certainly hope my colleagues here at this dais is the same, because this is not the only answer, but it's an answer that we do have to move forward on.
Council, we'll certainly put the presentation on the city's website tomorrow morning. As you heard Director Houston say, they're going to undertake their preparation of their draft environmental impact report. Staff will be reviewing that document, preparing comments. Depending on the council's desire or the magnitude of those comments, we can agendize that discussion for a future council meeting. But we're really waiting to see the detailed report before we form an opinion. We're interested in knowing what a desalinization plant looks like, the size, the potential impacts will be analyzed, and this fiscal issue hopefully will be addressed in that report as well.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate this because a week or so ago, the City of Manhattan Beach Council took an action to object to the desal plant, and I didn't know anything about it when I was being asked. So I echo what the city manager says about the scope and dimensions and where it's going to go and what it's going to look like and what it's going to impact.
Right. And again, we were just in the very opening comment period, which those have all been accepted. The deadline has passed at that. So now, of course, we'll be going through the EIR process, and in the spring, the report comes out and everyone has an opportunity to review it and give further comments that we can address. But even along the way, if you have questions or concerns, of course, we're here to be a partner and answer those. And we really appreciate your support.
Thank you. I have two more questions
Sure.
for you. Turf removal
Oh, yeah.
replacement program and rain barrels?
Actually, I'm glad you asked. So on the turf removal program, the funds right now have been exhausted through Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, which was running the program. And then, of course, we were implementing that in the district. So right now, I don't know the current status going forward. That's really up to the Met Board if they will reinstitute that program. But in the meantime, we definitely are doing the rain barrel distribution programs throughout the district, as well as other rebate programs. You can go on our website for some other rebate programs. But on the rain barrels, I'm real excited to let you know that I'll be having a rain barrel distribution event this December. It'll be December 12th. I am going to be hosting it up in Culver City, and the reason being we did it in the spring here in El Segundo, which was very successful. 200 rain barrels given away in 3 hours. But we're going to do 400 rain barrels on December 12th. And as soon as I have the flyers developed, I'll be putting that information out there. But everyone, of course, who's in our service area and in my division is eligible. I just want to make it a little more of an area that's, reasonable drive for the folks like in Malibu and Topanga and West Holly, which are also eligible. So a very large district, but extremely successful program. And so please watch for the information when it comes out and sign up, make a reservation, and you can come get a free rain barrel. Thank you.
We'd like you to distribute them in El Segundo so those people come eat at our restaurants and see our lovely city. But thank you for coming this evening,
You're very
Director
welcome.
Houston.
You got
Thank
it.
you very
Thank
much.
you.
Great presentation.
Right, and our last presentation will be given by Councilmember Fellhauer.
Okay. This is a proclamation by the City of El Segundo, California. Whereas, Make a Difference Day is the nation's largest national day of community service where citizens are encouraged to get involved with their favorite local nonprofit organizations. And whereas volunteers from around the country will unite in a common mission to improve the lives of others on Make a Difference Day, Saturday, October 24, 2015, and whereas El Segundo is the birthplace of the youth environmental movement as a result of local children taking action to protect the environment in their community, and whereas Tree Musketeers cares for more than 1,800 local trees in and around El Segundo, and whereas Tree Musketeers sets to engage the El Segundo community to preserve the environment, and whereas Trees to the Sea on Imperial Highway fortifies the green pollution barrier between El Segundo and LAX. Now, therefore, the mayor and the members of the City Council of the City of El Segundo, California, hereby proclaim October 24, 2015, as Make a Difference Day in El Segundo, and urge all citizens, tall and small, to gather on Imperial Avenue at Main Street at 9:30 a.m. to volunteer and help care for the trees to the sea. And here to accept the proclamation is Youth Manager, Tree Musketeer Youth Manager Lena McDermott.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. Tree Musketeers was founded in 1987 when 13 Brownie Girl Scouts planted Marcy the Marvelous Tree on Memory Row right here in El Segundo. Since that first day, Tree Musketeers has evolved into so much more. It's a place run by kids for kids, dedicated to empowering young people to be environmental leaders. I'm a youth manager at Tree Musketeers, and I'm very honored to accept this proclamation for our third annual Make a Difference Day. This Saturday, October 24th, on the largest national day of community service, Tree Musketeers will be holding a large TLC for trees at the Trees to the Sea along the median of the Imperial Highway. This tree care isn't an ordinary tree care, though. It's a competition. Whichever team picks up the most trash and weeds will win, and the winning team will have their picture printed in the El Segundo Herald. Now, a big tree care competition might not sound as exciting to you as it does to me, but I'll tell you the real reasons why you should be excited. Trees need to be nurtured into maturity in order to stay healthy and give the environment the most they have to offer. Once these trees that we're taking care of on Saturday mature, each one will generate $163,000 worth of oxygen, air pollution control, soil erosion prevention, and water recycling. Additionally, they'll each remove 2.5 tons of carbon dioxide from the air over 50 years. If that doesn't make you excited, I don't know what will. We at Tree Musketeers believe that anybody, tall or small, can make a difference, so we invite you all to come and join us this Saturday. If you would like to volunteer, please visit our website, treemusketeers.org, for more information. Lastly, I would like to give thanks to the members of our Make a Difference Day Task Force, the El Segundo Rotary Club, Exceed Financial Credit Union, and Chevron, who is our sponsor for this event. Without them, this event wouldn't be possible. I look forward to seeing you all at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Roll call.
Councilmember Dugan,
Here.
Councilmember Atkinson,
Here.
Councilmember Fallhauer,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jacobson, and Mayor Fuentes.
Here. Now is the time for public communications related to city business only. 5 minutes per person, 30 minutes total.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. My name is Louis Ting. I'm from Department of Water and Power, City of Los Angeles. I'm the manager of design projects. I oversee the Scattergood repowering projects that's undergoing what we call a commissioning and startup process. The last week, we experienced some excursion of equipment and also part of the process where we had to clean up the pipes. So there's thousands of linear feet of pipes that we had to clean up. And the way to clean up the pipe was to use steam. So essentially the machine produces steam and blows out the steam into the atmosphere. And during that process, we had an excursion on noise. The reason being is that there's really three reasons why. One of them is that on this project, we have secured very sophisticated mufflers. These are just like your car mufflers, but they're a lot bigger in size, so forth. So they will reduce noise down to legal level, essentially 65 decibels or lower. And this past weekend, I've been communicating with City Manager Craig Carpenter here regarding the noise level we've been measuring on the hour, especially on the averages. So we were all below that level, but on one of the days, what happens was the circuit of the pipe is not just one linear long pipe, but it's a bunch of turns and ups and downs and so forth, where it actually escaped through some of the non-muffled pipes. And then we also found out that some of the pipe were not insulated. So imagine these are raw steel pipes where the steam travel at essentially beyond speed of sound. So it makes that very nuisance noise that we call the high pitch. Imagine this big organ is just blowing air coming out of it. So that's what happened. So we took action right away. We shut it down the unit on Thursday night. And then we took action, I believe, Madam Fuentes, you actually communicated one of our manager here. He's actually in the audience right here, Mr. Charlie Don, and I started communicating with City Manager Greg Carpenter to kind of alleviate this issue. And I took charge as a single point of contact with City of Segundo to make sure that we were in constant communication. So that's essentially happened, and it concluded on Sunday night or actually early Monday morning. So we're completely done with the steam blow process, and we're moving forward with the rest of the testing of the units. So these units, essentially what we did is we have a very old 1970 vintage unit that essentially, it takes about 3 days to start up, and it takes a lot of energy, it's very inefficient. What we installed here at Scattergood is a very high technology equipment that's supplied by General Electric, and it can start up in essentially 10 minutes to produce power and use a lot less fuel, natural gas. So it essentially eliminates about 50% of the ocean water we're going to be cooling. And these new units does not use any ocean water to cool the units. Essentially, it uses air to cool the units. And then and also this reduces emissions, obviously, and last but not least, it's very efficient compared to the old units. Any questions?
So as I received a few complaints too about this, but so the noise issues could not have been foreseen?
We have actually taken a lot additional measures that we compared to other projects we've done. So we have completed 2 other projects. One's in the valley, one is down Long Beach. And we did not use any type of muffler because we're in the industrial zone. Well, actually, Long Beach, there was another residential zone, but then distance was a lot further, so we're in a lot more proximity, closer to the residents. So we have actually spent a lot more effort and money and also diligence to make sure that we could prevent this. But then again, some of these measures we took, it wasn't really foreseen until it actually happened. But then when it happened, we stopped. We shut the unit down Thursday night.
Okay. And is it common practice for you to notify residents within a certain distance that you'll be conducting this kind of cleaning? My
understanding is we did. We posted on residents' doors. Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's strange because I didn't get posted, and I'm one of the people that could hear it. I had neighbors that are closer than I am. And I don't know how come there wasn't blankets and things like that they can use for noise abatement. Because you know what? You don't live here. We put up with the airplane noise, and this was louder than the airplanes. So there's really no excuse for it. I'm glad you're here to explain it. But there really is no excuse for those neighbors that lost their sleep and their children that couldn't go to sleep. So hope everyone learned from it. And when you do your next project, you take that into consideration.
Absolutely, and that's one of the measures we took, is to install very tall scaffoldings and put up noise blankets. We did do that.
So when the city manager and I found out about this, I reached out to Mayor Garcetti's office and his staff. They were very responsive. They called immediately. I had late night phone calls with representatives from the DWP. Thank you. They had shut down the sound or the process for then, and we were told that they were going to put up additional scaffolding with some material to muffle it. I asked about if you had performed this before, and I was told the same thing that you said about Long Beach, because I said, have you done this in a residential area? They said one of the things maybe was the geography, that these houses are up on a hill at the same level with the pipes, instead of the pipes being higher than the residences.
Right. So another analogy I can give you is when the wind travels from the ocean and the sound travels with it. So it kind of traveled along with the wind, and that kind of blew the sound into the residential areas. And that's another thing that we learned, is that we'll have to check the wind speed and also the wind. And the wind was blowing fairly hard during those few days. And one of the attributes we believe is also it was a little bit warmer during those days, and people had windows open. Again, there's not an excuse. We understand, and we do apologize for this happened, but then every project is lessons learned. Again, we never have installed so much insulation on pipes, temporary pipes, and also put the mufflers like this. We never had used silencers before. Silencers are usually used in a very, very close and dense proximity to the city residents and so forth. And this is what we did. We did put that in the EIR. We did put that in our contracts, and that was already implemented. So this is just one of those excursions that it shouldn't have happened.
So I get that things happen, and can debate all night long about who got a notice and who didn't. But just for the public's knowledge, what is the requirement, or what is your standard practice? I don't know if it's a requirement or not, in terms of notification. How long in advance and how far away from the pipes do you do that?
And again, the notification was way before the start of the commissioning or the startup process. So we started this
What does
commissioning.
way before mean?
We're talking how many, 2 weeks at least, Charlie? More than that? So maybe what happens is, I get notifications at home from the city. They're gonna put where I live. They're gonna spray for mosquitoes. Well, by the time it happens, I already forgot the notification. So maybe what we need to do in the future or future project is to communicate with the city manager, and we can issue that on the website and put a notice it and keep constant communication with the council, with the mayor, and essentially do more outreach, even with social media and so forth. That's one of the lessons that we're going to do, is that not just that, but we're going to do more publications. Okay, we're going to start this process, and it may produce some what I call nuisance noise, because it's not a familiar noise that you hear. It's not like the airplane going by or a truck going by or something like that, but it's a nuisance noise.
Okay, so I appreciate your answer, but you didn't get to the meat of my question, which is how far away do you provide notifications from the location that's going to produce
our first unit was started back in the September.
Yeah, I'm looking for distance.
Oh, I'm sorry, distance. Oh,
Thank
distance.
you. Thank you.
Not
Charlie,
time.
do you have the answer for that?
I mean, is it in yards or miles or I don't know, blocks, or how do you do that?
I think according to my
Please come up to the microphone. Thank you.
according to my understanding, the notification was served by our contractor, which is the Keywood Corporation, and they pretty much would delegate the responsibility to notify the neighbors. As far as I'm concerned, I have heard they went all the way to several blocks of the neighborhood. But again, the point we're trying to make is, like Luis was mentioning earlier, we have done projects like this in the last 15 years, and this is what I call one of very unique situation, which we probably underestimate the sound mitigation device. And honestly, we went back to our contractor and we discovered, as I mentioned to Madam Mayor that night, we quickly stopped the operation. We went through every temporary piping, and we diligently go through every possible installation on the pipe. And again, something like you said, we probably should have thought about earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
But my question is there a prescribed distance, or is it just you leave that up to the contractor? There's no sort of regulation that dictates to you guys how far you need to notify? I'm asking this because I know the residents are curious.
Yeah, I don't have that number right now, but I'd be happy to find out exactly how far we went, as far as, but I know we do have the information publicized on the website and so forth. Again, I don't have the exact distance from where we are. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. If you get that information, can you forward it to Greg so he can let us know?
Right. And I just want to add something to the fact that that night when I contacted the mayor, I was very pleased. I didn't really expect to have a voice on the other end actually responding to me. But we didn't have a chance to talk to our public, official that late at night. So I do appreciate Mayor's patience and be able to converse with us, understand our situation. I call the mayors to be a 24/7 mayors, and I really out of my respect to her.
Well,
So
thank you. I appreciate that. And I would say that you would have gotten the same response from everybody up here. That's, as the city manager said, the beauty of El Segundo. You can talk to every one of your elected officials pretty much at any time. So thank you for that.
We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do we have a phone number for you? Because before this, there were several residents that were getting like backup beeps at all hours of the night down there. And
You mean from trucks backing up, the backup bills?
no, they were several different things, crane moving beeps, several different things that he found out. But it was almost impossible to get hold of anybody at the site.
Yes,
you have Kiewit numbers that don't answer, no backup machines. Just if we can publicize it better, a way of communicating would help.
Right, we did go back and review our hotline, the situation, and talking to our contractor. And as a matter of fact, before I called the mayor, and I personally test the hotline myself, and we also made improvements by making sure when they push the button, for the emergency, I think it's the number 3, we're making sure there's always a live voice on the other end. And if the person is not available for some reason, and the phone will automatically forward to the project manager. And I myself actually tested a couple of times as a result.
That's an improvement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? And again, I do appreciate the continued communication with Mr. Carpenter throughout the whole weekend, and we have established that communication protocol. So if there's any other issues and even if maybe what we can do is publish that phone number, that 24-hour hotline on your website. Isn't there? Okay, so it's already there. So I just want to make sure that we have that communication protocol.
Thank you.
Especially be aware of the noise at night. It's one thing during the day, but at night, no excuse for it.
This caused a lot of ill will in the city.
Understood.
Appreciate you coming tonight.
This is the least we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Julia Cohen. I live on Standard Street, like a block away. And I'm so glad the Scattergood folks are here because this is actually about another Scattergood issue. I don't know if you guys came and did a little debrief after the September 28th incident. Did you? When there was, you started up something and there ended up being a bunch of sulfur dioxide pumped into the air for 10 hours? No? Okay. Well, so back on September 28th, I'm on the El Segundo Parents Network on Facebook, and all of a sudden everybody starts posting, like, hey, what's the crazy, like, rubber burning smell that's in the air? Well, it turns out, just find out, like, almost a month later, it was sulfur dioxide, which is, like, really toxic. I'm 4 months pregnant, and I have a 1-year-old kid, and we're at the park for hours that day, breathing it in, thinking like, oh, what's that weird smell? Sure, maybe like my common sense should have kicked in, but I guess I just didn't think that I should leave town for the day or lock myself in my house and close the doors and windows for the afternoon. My biggest question is why it took 10 hours before someone shut down the plant. I talked to the plant manager, Wes Pyle. Hi. Thank you. You were actually super helpful, like very forthcoming and honest, and returned my calls and said that, yeah, it was 10 hours of sulfur dioxide being pumped into the air. And then you did tell me that now you're monitoring the air now, if you ever do this again, and you're like sending a car out to the community next time you do it so that you can make sure there's not a crazy smell in the air. And that's all great. But I don't know if we're just supposed to trust that these guys are going to be monitoring our air. I don't trust people who let something go on for 10 hours while we were all breathing it in. Any El Segundo resident could have said, something smells funny, especially towards the evening when it really started getting pungent. And I think anybody, once I called the fire department, I talked to Wes, it was clearly coming from your plant, yet nobody thought to turn it off. I don't understand that. And I don't trust the same people who didn't turn off a plant for 10 hours to be the same people who are going to monitor next time they start up a plant. I think that we have to be way harsher on these people, you guys. And I'm looking to you guys. I know, like, even just in this last little conversation, it was a lot of, like, understand, like, things happen and you're learning from this and you'll do better next time. I feel like we need to hold them accountable. You guys are here. What's more important than the residents' health and safety? I mean, we were breathing in toxic fumes for 10 hours. I think that they really need an incentive to never let that happen again. I want everyone at Scattergood, anytime something seems like maybe it's going wrong, everyone at Scattergood's terrified, like, oh no, we can't let the people of El Segundo get mad because they'll sue us, or they'll get a big fine against us, or they'll get the EPA in here and get them involved. I want them to be scared instead of like, oh, we're just going to wait until we figure out exactly what's going on, and then 10 hours later, sorry, city of El Segundo, you've been breathing toxic fumes for 10 hours. So is your unborn baby and your 1-year-old child. It's a real bummer that we're at all lenient on them. So I guess that's kind of all I had to say. I would really like to hear what the council thinks we should do to make sure this never, ever, ever happens again. That's it. Thank you so much.
Was it Julia or Julie?
Julia.
Julia. Thank you so much for your comments.
Thanks.
I did not know about
Can
this.
we wait till public communications
Oh,
are
I'm sorry.
closed?
Okay.
Mayor, Council, and staff. Antonio Mendez, 408 Standard Street. I'll be very brief. I want to go back to the desal issue. It was a very interesting presentation. Mayor, you pointed out that Manhattan Beach is against it. According to the South Bay newspapers, I believe Redondo Beach is against it also. So with that in mind, does this opposition derail the desalination? That's my question. Thank you.
Hello, Madam Mayor, City Council members. I'm here representing Warner Brothers Studios and New Line Productions. We filmed in City Hall and also on Richmond Street for about 6 days, and I wanted to thank the entire city of El Segundo for making us feel very welcome, for your hospitality and the cooperation of the members of the City Hall staff. In particular, I'd like to thank Greg Carpenter, Mickey Tagle, his executive assistant, and James Amesqual, who is the film permit person. They were extremely helpful. So was Stephanie Katsoulias, who is the Director of Public Works. And I'd also like to thank Martin Whitehead, who is your Maintenance Facilities Supervisor, George Prado, who also was invaluable to us. And I guess your city's loss, Steve Jones, was our gain, and he also was extremely helpful. I'd also like to thank the police department and the fire department of El Segundo. All the citizens we met were so helpful and so welcoming. It was truly one of the best experiences we've had in filming in city government buildings. And all I can say is thank you very much.
Good. Thank you.
See no more public communications. Closed. Council comments.
Look, I didn't know about this September 28th. I didn't smell it. And at the time, I had a 2-week-old infant. So I'm a little bit concerned about this. I honestly didn't know about it. This is the first I've heard of it. So
I didn't either. I just looked on my calendar to see if I was here, and I was. I didn't know about it either. No, but we have Wes Pyle, you said? Maybe he can give us some answers.
I'm curious who
I was aware
regulates
of it. It was in the notifications and such. We had notification on it that I believe they were in the process of doing some of your dry runs on the new cogen facilities, and they had a little burn up on one of the cogens when they were starting it up and the first time running through some trials and things. So,
But why would that take 10 hours to address?
I don't have any of the details on timing, and I don't have any details on emissions either. I don't know how you determined it was sulfur dioxide or.
Right, well, is it acceptable to have Wes come up?
Yeah.
Mr. Pyle, thank you. Because I have some questions about self-reporting to the AQMD or the EPA, if it's at toxicity levels. So if you could.
And Mayor, our fire department did respond on a
Yeah.
mutual aid basis, and we're on scene, and Breck Slover can probably provide some detail. If the council wants more detail, we can return with that.
Okay, so, I'm sorry, the question is?
Well, one
first,
was,
what
was
happened?
released, what happened, did it take 10 hours?
Well, what happened was it was an unusual event that occurred. It was not expected to have this sort of a release. And like somebody mentioned a few minutes ago, from my understanding, it's a new unit. When you first fire it, there's an extreme amount of heat. And so this was part of the process to heat up those metals and so forth for the first time. Unfortunately, a problem occurred with it that caused this release to happen. It took some time to discover what that was. And reports from people were coming in hours after it was started. And so that when somebody mentions the 10-hour time frame and why some action wasn't taken sooner, it's because there was the time frame in first getting comments about it, hearing from the public. Then the next thing is it surprised us. We weren't sure. By everything that we've done in our planning meetings, there shouldn't have been anything coming out that stack, anything like that. And so it surprised us. And it took some time to try to figure out what it is, reviewing the materials that we have, what could it have been. And it took quite a bit of time to do that. We apologize for that. It was something that was unexpected.
So you were surprised, but if you flow chart everything you're doing and you know if heat hits a metal or some chemical, then you have a reaction, you must have known that would happen?
It wasn't really a reaction of the different metals or so forth. The unusual event was there was a leak that occurred, and that's what was the culprit, and it took some time to figure out what that was. And so the unit was shut down, and the repairs were made, and then the unit was started up again after that.
So is this
with
something
with no reoccurrence.
So is this something that's self-reported to AQMD or EPA?
AQMD did show up that night that the unit was shut down, and I think it was 2 members that showed up. Myself was there, and I think Charlie was there as well, I think. And we explained to them what occurred and what we're going to do about it, and also told them, too, as we're telling you, that it was unusual. This was not something that we figured was going to happen.
And what's to prevent this from occurring in any of your other pipes or?
I think more diligence the next time, a greater check. You know, in starting something like this on a project this major, there's a lot of checks that have to be, like a checkoff list to make sure that everything is ready to go. And I think just more due diligence in the future to make sure that, you know, Charlie mentioned earlier, somebody did, Lewis, lessons learned, definitely lessons learned from this one, that on the next one, we need to include things like this into our checklist.
You know what? I'm okay with lessons learned on noise. I'm not okay with lessons learned compromising the health and safety of our community. Not at all. So not okay.
So how poisonous is sulfur dioxide, and what are the toxicity levels of inhaling it?
Well, what the complaints that we were getting from the neighbors was, and it fit the sulfur dioxide, is that the rubbery burning smell and also irritation to the throat. And when you do air monitoring, you just can't go out with a monitor and just try to pick up different chemicals. You have to know what it is that you're searching for. So after these reports came in, we knew then what to set up the air monitor for, and we put people at different parts of the plant closest to our boundary and in the direction of the wind to make sure that we were picking up on our next startup to see what what those levels were and if we're picking it up at all. And we weren't picking up anything after that because we found out what the issue was. I told you there was something that was unexpected, and the repairs were made on it, and there was no reoccurrence. But the lessons learned would be to do that on the first fire, and knowing that this is something that may come from that first fire, include this in our next first fire,
have
and some
monitoring-
project somewhere.
And have monitoring set up first before you begin the first fire instead of after?
That's correct.
I find it hard to believe that in today's day and age, there's not a way to ensure that that's prevented from happening rather than just monitoring. There's got to be a way to test the pipes or something to make sure that there's no leaks before you start firing up the entire entity.
Well, as I stated, there was a team of people on the project that went through there to make sure that fittings were ready to go and so forth. And
Well, clearly they didn't because there was a leak.
That's right.
I mean, in my job, we use borescopes and snoop, to put on pipes to make sure that there aren't any leaks. So,
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry. This is public comment. Perhaps it would be best for you to have a full report on a future agenda item, which would include information from, for example, from El Segundo Fire, and any other information that the city manager could get to you.
okay, we would like that. If you could provide that, thank you, and work with our staff. And again, I'd like to know what the toxicity level or at which level it becomes dangerous. So it might be a lot, it might be a little, it might not be dangerous to inhale. But, thank you for
Okay.
coming up and
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
talking to us.
So we'll have our fire department work with DWP and with LA City Fire on understanding the incident, understanding the toxicity of sulfur dioxide, and better understanding what can be done in the future to prevent it from happening.
Sometimes it seems like because we're not the city of LA, they don't care because they're affecting the city of El Segundo. And I'm not just saying just the DWP. We have an airport to the north as well. We are a neighbor. We are not the city of Los Angeles. We were asked a question about if cities objecting to the desalination could stop the process. I think it's bigger than that, and agencies will make those decisions based on a lot of information.
So unlike most land use decisions where the council has the ultimate say, the West Basin, and Carl can chime in, but my understanding is the West Basin as a public utility with its own elected board has some independence. And they are the lead agency on the EIR. They'll certainly take input from each of the cities or any member of the public on their EIR, and they'll have to address those comments that are made, and if they're responsible, which I'm sure they are, they'll respond to the comments that are made that are reasonable, that can be addressed in their project.
And
So
there's
the
mitigation.
city of El Segundo's role, well, we have some slightly different roles because we have our own fire department, and we'll be issuing certain permits, like for driveways, but the building permits, we don't control. The land use for this particular use, we don't control, but we will be providing our comments on the environmental impact report, and that's the role that Manhattan Beach and Redondo Beach, if they choose to, can take as well.
Also, both, from what I remember reading in the paper, I don't think either of those cities took council action. It was some of the people on the council that made the comments. So
I think you're sort of right in both counts. The Manhattan Beach Council did take action. The Redondo Beach Council, I don't believe it was a council person that was commenting in the Easy Reader or the Beach Reporter.
Well, my understanding is real simple. This is El Segundo, not Manhattan Beach, not Redondo, not Hermosa. And I'm really kind of tired of the people coming to our council meetings telling us what to do and how to do it. If they want to move here and vote and put people up here that they want to do what they want, go for it. But really, we don't go to their council meetings or their city stuff and interfere. This is something that needs to be done, and if El Segundo has the authority, I certainly hope we do it.
And then I would just like to comment, we had a gentleman here from the film crew, and it looks like he's gone. But everything I heard from our staff is they were such a nice, polite crew that was here. And yes, not every crew is like that, but for people who aren't here, they can't see that our chambers have been changed a little bit, little modifications, some chairs out, but you can see behind us, they removed the blue painted walls that were there, and this beautiful wood existed before, and Carl is the only council member who served with that before. And they made us a beautiful new seal, the movie crew did. So, and Carl, you said they put the blue up years ago because at the time the technology of the cameras couldn't distinguish the people sitting at the dais from the dark walls. But
yeah,
now,
and I, when they put it up, I asked that they don't do anything to this walnut that would damage it, and they didn't, because when the picture company took it off, it's in great shape, and really
beautiful.
adds back to way I remember as mayor this was there, and it's nice to have it back. They may want to put a few more lights up so that they can see us better. I hope it's just fine the way it is, but that's up to the TV crew.
yeah, so
Thank you for ensuring that the wood was protected, and it's beautiful.
Yes.
Really beautiful. Encourage people to come see it themselves. And again, thank you to the movie crew for being so polite and friendly and working with our staff. And that gentleman was right. The city's loss of Steve Jones was definitely their gain because he worked with their crew. He's a lovely man. Okay.
Can I just reply to something that Dave said? The service area for West Basin includes those cities.
No, but we're building it in our city.
I know, but West Basin has to answer to them. So
we're not building.
We're not deciding that.
West
West
Basin
Basin
within
is.
our boundaries. Is that better?
Okay, procedural motions. Consideration of a motion to read all ordinances and resolutions on the agenda by title only.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Oh, reports of committees, commissions, and boards. Consideration and possible action to announce the appointments to the Environmental Committee, Economic Development Advisory Council, Community Cable Advisory Committee, Investment Advisory Committee, Capital Improvement Advisory Committee, and Library Board of Trustees. Fiscal impact none. So everybody up here will shake their head in agreement when they say that we are so blessed in El Segundo to have so many capable, generous people who want to give of their time to serve our city. And we held interviews this evening before the meeting, and we announced the appointment of Corey Chitlick to a full term expiring June 30th, 2019 to the Environmental Committee. Appointing Shar Franklin, Van Espabodi, and Spencer Bauer to the Economic Development Advisory Council with no term expiration. Appointed Brian Mitchell to a partial term expiring October 31st, 2018, and Sally Martin to a full term expiring October 31st, 2019 to the Community Cable Advisory Committee. Appointed Matthew Robinson to a full term expiring August 30th, 2019 to the Investment Advisory Committee. Appointed Michael Van Cleek and Mike Rotolo to a full term expiring November 30th, 2019, and Eric Carey to a partial term expiring November 30th, 2017 to the Capital Improvement Program Advisory Committee. So thank you, everyone. Congratulations. Welcome to serving our city, and we continue to have openings. If you're interested, please check the website or call Mashia at 310-524-2302, and she will let you know what seats are available on our committees and commissions.
Why don't we recall that the the Library Board of Trustees still needs some people, so
Yes.
advertise that right now.
Yeah, so if you're interested on serving on the library board, again, you can go online and look or call Mashia. She'll be happy to give you the information. Do we have any pulls from the consent agenda? I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, 5-0. No new business, reports. City manager.
I was just going to thank the employees that worked on their days off and over the weekend and late nights on the filming process. We obviously we do provide them with overtime, but it was a lot of hours committed to that process, and Ralph from Warner Brothers did a great job of doing that for me.
Thank you.
We appreciate their added service.
City attorney. City clerk.
No, thank you.
Our city treasurer is not here this evening. Councilmember Fellhauer.
Yes.
Councilmember Atkinson.
Just one thing, I also like the new seating with the aisle in the middle. Certainly makes it easier to get in and out, doesn't it? So once again, bravo to the film crew.
Councilmember Dugan.
Yeah, I would just like to acknowledge that the people from DWP that were here to help us understand. I know I've been on your side of the fence. That's why I'm really quiet up here. I know what it takes to get these things started up, and I think in the spirit of everything, understanding what happened is going to be a good piece of going forward. And then I applaud you for being here, and I apologize for some of the roughness that came across here, because being on your side, I know that's hard to deal with. But wait till we get the facts in front of people. I don't know that there's identification of things. I think we're making comments here on toxic releases and things, and that may or may not be reality. So let's get some of the facts together and understanding. And then, again, thank you for being here, and appreciate it, and I look forward to working with you going forward on this.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Jacobson. I have several things. First, this past week, I attended Mayor Garcetti's convening of the 88 mayors in Los Angeles County. It was held in Santa Clarita this year. It was this week. It was a very good meeting. We learned about homelessness in Los Angeles County, and also Jeff Kiernan from the League of Cities gave us a rundown on some of the bills in the legislature. On that note, a very important bill was approved by the governor this past week, AB 306, which gives school choice to military families, was Assembly Member David Hadley's bill. He is from Manhattan Beach. This is possibly one of the most important bills to help our military families in the state of California. What that means is families who are stationed in California, they now have the ability to put their children in whatever school district they want if that school district will accept them. Before, there was a struggle with their home school district where they would hang on to them. Around here, that school district that was doing that was the Los Angeles Unified School District. So it would cause months and possibly a year of pain for families where they couldn't get their kids into schools in El Segundo or Manhattan Beach or Wiseburn. Assemblymember Hadley's bill changed that. It was unanimous in the Assembly, and the Senate, and the governor signed it. It is huge. As the daughter of 2 Navy veterans and the sister of an Air Force veteran and an Army veteran, I am so grateful that the people who serve, who put their life on the line for us, who go out, looking for bad guys, dodging bullets in 110-degree heat, their kids can now go to good schools. So I thank the Assembly member for that. And we are hearing more and more about El Nino coming and the weather patterns. And so I am asking the city manager, please, at a future meeting, to give us a report on what our emergency preparations in the city are, what our residents should expect, where if they need sandbags, where they can get them ahead of time, what we're going to do. I remember in 97, I think, water flooding on Sepulveda up over, the bottom of car doors. And I know that Councilmember Jacobson has said that there's new pumps and drains and things in to alleviate some of that, but I would like to hear a report, please.
We can certainly do that, and we recently posted on our website the El Nino preparation webpage for the county that has a lot of resources on it. But Stephanie Katsouleas will take the lead on presenting what the city's doing and plans on doing to prepare for heavy rainfall.
Thank you. I appreciate that because like everything else, we are our own first responders. We need to take responsibility for ourselves. So with that, back to public communications related to city business, 5 minutes per person, 30 minutes total.
Good evening. My name is Jack Axelrod. I've been renting in El Segundo for the last 15 years. Once again, I guess I don't have to start anyway. Thank you all for your profound efforts keeping the fiscal health on maintaining the fiscal health of the city. Pastor Jay seems to be in personal conversation with a non-existent entity, which he refers to as Jesus several times. This is true of the religious people that you have, the churchmen that you have in here to conduct the opening invocation. And once again, I will request that you do away with that, bearing in mind that the Bible is really a work of fiction. And you're not doing us any service. You're not doing the community any service by validating that work of fiction is anything else but a work of fiction. Economic development as a central thrust of the city of El Segundo. Part of the economic development, it seems to me, is the manufacture of weapons and instruments of death. And I've never heard a report. That's my fault. I've never heard a report. Nobody has ever reported on how many civilian deaths have been caused by the drones that are designed, sold, manufactured by companies here in El Segundo. And I think it'd be worthwhile knowing what that is. The drought, in talking about the drought, I wish you would consider possibilities of how we as a community could impact on global overpopulation. At the recent Democratic debate, so-called, the 5 candidates were asked what they thought was the greatest threat to the United States. Sanders was the only one to reply seriously to that question. He regarded it as climate change as the greatest threat to the United States. Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, the climate change is one of the great threats. Human beings are herd animals. You know, we're just animals like other animals. We're herd animals. We follow leaders. If one of the animals starts off and takes over the lead of the pack, the rest of us follow through. We have to bear that in mind. I lost track, of course. It seems, but I'll go back to what I was thinking about, I guess. It seems to me that global overpopulation has more to do with the drought than anything else. And we don't ever control, nobody ever talks about global overpopulation or local overpopulation. And enough of that subject. I'd like to recommend all of you to, if you haven't already, to see the current exhibit at the El Segundo Museum of Art. The works themselves are not spectacular, but overall, as a show, it is worth seeing. Please go in there and take a look at it. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, see no more public communications. We're closing. We have no memorials. We are adjourning to closed session.